Hello.
Hello.
We have wrangled Larry back for another round on the quantum leaping, and I still am not confident that we're still going to get all of this topic out on a part two tonight because it is such a big topic.
It's a huge topic, and I figured the questions. I said, well, if you pick one or two of them, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, did either one of you have a place that you wanted to get started? I know we have our list of talking points, but like, is there a real good starting point to get into this topic? It's so
Well, I think we should start with the parallel lives and the way the parallel lives play into the quantum theory and quantum leaping. So
Maybe.
I know we talked about it last in the last episode, and I think it got a little bit confusing for many people, and it got pretty deep. So
hmm
I looked up. I want to go over the spiritual definition of the parallel lives, and then I want to give an example that I think should clear it up for most people. So, in spiritual belief systems, parallel lives refer to the concept of simultaneous alternative life paths or realities existing concurrently in one's own life. They each vibrate at a different frequency or wavelength. These experiences are typically separate physical universes, but represent different versions of the soul's journey or different timelines that can offer lessons, wisdom, and healing for the current life, enriching the soul's overall growth and understanding. Now, in a more clearer, or what I think is more clearer, you'll be the judge of it. In our life, we make a series of choices. Okay, whether we're going to get married or we're going to get divorced, whether we're going to stay in a current job or we're going to move to a new job, whether we want to drive to the store or we want to walk. We're constantly making choices. Creates a new possibility, and it starts running this new possibility in the background. Once the person living that life makes the choice, that possibility then becomes their reality, and they begin walking and living that timeline. While that's going on, all those other possibilities are still moving forward and still progressing as an alternative life or your parallel life. So based on that, we have maybe hundreds of significant choices we make that create parallel lives that are running concurrently with the life we're living right now. With the quantum leaping, if we need to tap into one of those what if situations, what if I drove to the store rather than walking to the store, we could leap to that life and experience what that path would have looked like. And it's simply the leap really simply is changing your vibration, which is changing your thought and creating a new vibrational uh, or new wavelength that matches with that other possibility. I liken it to changing radio stations. If you're on
hmm
WMMS and you want to go to WGAR, you change the frequency. Parallel lives is much of the same thing, and we could get a little bit deeper into how to change those frequencies. But I think in a nutshell, that kind of sums it up. What do you think, Maria?
Yes. Also, one frequency does not affect the other frequency.
Right.
So the parallel lies, even though I make a choice to go to the store, and in another parallel life that person didn't make that choice, it does not interfere with that person's choice.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, they're completely independent. They run
Mm-hmm.
completely independent of each other. Did we lose you, Melissa?
No, I'm on the background, like changing banners and
Okay.
comments. I'm multitasking.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of times where we'll make choices in our life, and we often wonder, well, what if I chose
Mm-hmm.
something else? Most people don't understand that they could actually quantum leap to that what if and see what that life would look like had they made a different choice. If they married this other person rather than going with the current partner, if they left the job rather than staying at it, what would their life path have turned into? And it's not there to say that you were wrong or you were right in your choice. It's there to help you heal and grow as to every action, every decision we make has the yin and the yang effect. There's everything we choose to do has a good and it has a bad. And by leaping to the what ifs, it gives us that ability to know what the options would have been. And in many cases, we could alter this life to get back in line. Not now the parallel lives will never bisect and come together, but we can bring back the qualities of a parallel life back into the present life and uh, alter this life by bringing back those qualities with us.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard stories about people going and learning how, going to one life and coming back and knowing how to play the piano, and they've never taken
Mm-hmm.
piano lessons. Mathematicians who couldn't barely add 2 + 2 came back and they were math whizzes. So
Mm-hmm.
there's things we can learn and grow from and bring back with us. But it's also a learned process.
Yes, it is. You cannot start as a beginner and expecting that you are going to go to that frequency of, oh, I want a frequency living in Paris. And you may have a parallel life living in Paris, but it's not like it's going to happen immediately just because you jump into that frequency, jump into that parallel life. There's also a process that needs to take place.
Correct. Yeah. And to me, the parallel lives are more like they're kind of like an Akashic records, but more in like the current life situation, meaning it would be like going to an encyclopedia and doing a research and saying, okay, what is this? How does this work? Getting the information and then bringing it back to your current position and using that information to alter the path you're on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys wanted to get into, because I'm reading through our notes and, kind of going like you can't start as a beginner and jumping to like expert mode.
Mhm.
In this traveling, if you will, to this parallel life, I see some notes about the multiverse bridge. Like, what exactly is that? And is that something that is being used to get to these parallel lives?
You want to take that, Maria?
Yeah, the multiverse bridge is a technique that you use, and the first one would be a meditation technique. But you can also do it through self-hypnosis if you know how to do self-hypnosis, or also going to a trained hypnotherapist. You will be guided to go through that bridge to jump into another frequency of your alternate self. And you might want to find, like, say I want to find an alternate self, because the universe is so vast and it's not just this galaxy, it's other galaxy. So I want to find an alternate self that has healed themselves from chronic headaches. So I can use the bridge is just a way for you to go into that frequency, to jump into that frequency. So you could do it through meditation. And like I said, it's not something that you can just say, I'm going to do it and then, expect it to happen instantly. Just like any kind of healing tool, it doesn't happen instantly. There is a process.
Now, how does
You can
that
also bring it. Go
side?
ahead.
How does that
Pardon me?
meet? How does that meet over with the science aspect of it?
The quantum scientists, they're doing research on this, that they can, they have all these, I don't even know what to call it. They have these things on the athletes. So say the athlete is there and they're into a meditative state. There's a race coming up that they're a marathon racer. There's a race coming up. So this person is actually, they're sitting and they tap into that frequency of actually running the race, winning the race. So you kind of jump into that frequency. You went into that frequency. Do you agree, Larry?
Yeah, and I think if I understand the question correctly, I think what we're talking about is a direct, and I'll use the word parallel to what science is dictating, because what science dictates what the quantum physics is and how parallel lives play into it. They also talk about how to get there. What we're talking about is how to get there. And the bridge is just the avenue, whether it be self-guided, which is, you're walking across the bridge yourself through meditation, or you're being guided through a hypnotherapist or somebody that's trained in it to help guide you across the bridge. I would strongly advise anybody that does this to go to a trained person first and learn the right ways of doing it. You don't want a quantum leap just arbitrarily. You don't know where you're going to go, what you're going to get, and it could really mess up your current situation. You could bring back information that you weren't ready for, and it could really all.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Larry?
I think
There I
he's
am.
frozen.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, Larry, last we had heard was, bringing back information that maybe they are not ready for.
Yes, yeah, because if you're not ready, if you just quantum leap and you end up in an alternate reality that is very deep and personal, and you're not ready to experience that, it could really alter where you are right now, and you'll make choices that aren't in your best interest just to stay away from what you feel is coming. So that's why I say it's best to be guided. It's best to learn. It's best to take baby steps. It's just like manifestation. I'm teaching a class on manifestation, and I always tell my group, we start off small. You start off by getting the red lights to turn green before you get there. Manifesting a parking lot space at a mall or a shopping center before you get there, and then we build from there. We don't want to start manifesting $1 million when we don't even know how to manifest it. We want to start off small and build up. It's called the ladder effect. You take one step at a time. Quantum leaping is even more important to do the ladder effect and start off small.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, this one was really interesting, kind of reading over notes, getting ready. The self in the multiverse. If there's a million different versions of us out there, where's the constant?
The oversoul. That's your spirit. Your ultimate spirit power is called the oversoul, and it kind of controls all of the lives, and it keeps all the lives parallel but separate.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So that,
interesting.
that's our pure essence. That's many people call it your higher self. Um,
Yep.
in the quantum field, it's referred to as the oversoul.
So is the consciousness moving into the new reality when the jumps are happening? So if the oversoul is constant and a piece of that oversoul is moving over, learning something new, experiencing something in a different parallel life, um, is it like the consciousness bringing over, or is it like the whole reality kind of shifting slightly?
Everything's moving, everything's shifting at the same time. It's okay. So the oversoul is, if you will, sitting in a room, this just metaphorically, sitting in a room watching, 30 different monitors of what's going on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You in your current reality are one person in one monitor monitoring just what that one monitor is showing you. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yes.
But while we're watching that one monitor, everything else is going on around us and all the other monitors. Nothing ever stops. Everything is constantly moving and constantly progressing.
So now the mental image of me and my little monitor wants to jump 3 monitors to the left to go learn something.
Yep.
Um, so that little world in my monitor kind of shifts 3 monitors over and kind of absorbs that experience and then comes back to my original monitor.
Not your monitor, your spirit energy would jump over. Your monitor's still running. Your monitor's still there running. You're jumping over three monitors over, gathering the information you need and bringing it back to your monitor.
Okay.
So your life never gets paused.
Okay. So not even a gone fishing sign. It's literally like
No, it's because usually when you're doing this, you're in a meditative state. Your life is still moving around you. You're out and you're meditating and you're focusing on whatever you're focusing on, but your life is still happening around you. Same thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, like take when we go to sleep at night. Okay. When you get up in the morning, you I don't know if it ever happened to anyone, but it happened to me numerous times. I get up in the morning and I feel so out of place. I don't know where I am. I get up and I have to really like, where am I? Part of my soul left my body and went into the spirit world. The other part kept my body going. It kept them, it like Larry said, it kept the monitor going. Your life never stops, So when whatever I went out there in the spirit world to do, whether I was helping someone or because we all agreed also, this might be a little bit big, but we also agreed to do spiritual work, even though we are learning in the earth planes.
Mm.
So then, when it's time for when it's time for, for me to get up, my whole soul comes back whole. And it may have been something that I was really focused on. I was really intended to complete, that I come back too fast, or I come back like I wasn't done. I wasn't finished. So you have that moment of being disoriented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a good segue into the healing aspect because we didn't really get in pretty deep in the healing part of, using quantum leaping for healing. And, one of the first, things that we were thinking about was the targeting trauma. And,
Mhm.
like, have you used, even in guided states, helping one of the clients, like quantum jumping or leaping, into healing a situation? And how did you know what parallel life to get that information that was needed for the healing?
when I do trauma work, a lot of times I'll take the adult back to the time or the child where the trauma occurred,
Okay.
and we're able to go back as the adult, as we are today, go back and talk to the child and let the child know everything's going to be okay, and you start healing from that perspective, knowing, because we're going back in time now. We know where we are. We know that we came out of this. We still may have some trauma bonds in that, but by going back and healing, at least this is my thought. I'm curious to know what Maria thinks about it. But my thought is, when we go back into that childlike moment where the trauma actually occurred, we can lessen those bonds, start learning the lesson, and bring that child with us back into the present time, and begin that healing of the two of the past. And that's been very successful for me, helping people with their trauma bonds.
Mm.
What do you think, Maria?
I use it as a timeline, and it's the same thing. I I have done this with one person. It was actually really great. I brought them back to their childhood, but I am not having them experience any of the emotions. They're observing it. I have them with me. I walk them through it, and they're observing it. And before we leave there, we actually give that little child, that inner child, a lot of love and assure that child that you are okay. Someone is always here who cares about you. So it goes, I do it in a timeline frame. I have trained, one of the classes that I was trained with, they talked about timelines.
Mhm.
So I do it as a timeline. I look at a timeline. I first ask the question, when did this first appear? When did this happen? So it takes me back. And sometimes it may not be in this life. It
Yeah.
may be another life. That's where they show me exactly a timeline where we're going back. And I don't want my client to experience the emotional. I don't want them to do that. They know it's them. I
Mm.
want them to, see them, acknowledge that it happened. Because first of all, some people, they're in denial mode because it's just too traumatic.
Yeah.
So, um, to acknowledge it, and then to give that, whether it's a child. Yeah, I have had one that was an adult, not in this time. It was in another life. And I, just assure them that they are okay. And if it's a past life, I also want to separate the two. So who I said, and I before I bring them back, I said who you were before is no longer who you are now. But please understand, you are loved, you are cared for, you matter.
Yes. No, I agree with you, because, and when you talk timeline, we're talking the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the what you're talking about is present life regressions and past life regressions, and it's important to understand. This is where it gets a little bit cloudy, because
Mm-hmm.
in the quantum world, the past is running parallel with the
Mm-hmm.
present and the future. So when we do a past life regression, we're actually quantum leaping into a past parallel, which is happening at the exact same time as the current parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a quantum field, there's no space or time. Everything bends, and everything can morph into what our reality is.
Now, have either
Yes.
one of you had to take a client not just back to childhood? Maybe the healing information that was needed was either past life or life in another dimension, different planet, different galaxy.
I've never experienced that. Um, I think Maria has. I think she told me a story about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, and it was really unusual because it was actually a client that she came in for a past life regression, basically what she did, and we went back, and then I was giving notice from her guides that they wanted to take her back to 2 more lives, and there was a pattern, and she also has that pattern in this life. And each time we went back to take a look at it, we gave a lot of love to that individual who she was. But I also separated the lives. I had to separate the lives.
It's always interesting, like, at least to me in this topic, like what information and knowledge from different like realms, planets, that we as a species have not acquired yet. And are we allowed to bring that back in a quantum leap? And if so, does that help spur on a chain reaction of helping heal others? Because now you're able to bring that, that whole ripple in the pond. So that's probably more of like my interest in this whole topic is like, ooh, what can we bring back from other
Hmm.
places outside of our little human existence here on this current earth that will help spur and help other people.
And I think that's very possible, but I also think that's going to be controlled by the oversoul, because
Yeah.
our oversoul is going to make sure that whatever the mission was of this existence and everything that we're experiencing, that we don't do anything that's going to alter us from changing that.
The
Hmm.
original plan. Now,
Yeah, the original booklet.
have either one of you had a client in helping in the quantum leap that kind of resisted the healing, that did not want to step into that healed self?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've had clients that didn't want to go back or didn't want to, and at that point, there's as for what I do, I just try to help them in the current and help them through it through many different avenues, journaling and meditation. But some people just don't want, and they don't want to go back. They don't want to. They're afraid of it, and
Hmm.
until they can get to the point where they're ready to face it, it's not my job to force it.
Mm.
I and as a hypnotist, I can't force somebody to be hypnotized. They have to want it. I'm just a guide. So if they I've taken people into trance and they're nice and deep, and all of a sudden we start going down that path, and all of a sudden their eyes open, they're like, nope, not ready.
Hmm.
So it's they have to want it and they have to be ready for it. That's been my experience.
Yeah, I have the same experience. And it's not just hypnosis, guiding someone, it's also when I'm doing energy work.
Mhm.
I can spend a whole entire day with them, but if they're not ready to release that emotion, or if they don't want to feel all the emotion all over again, I tell them, if the energy gets too much, just raise your hand and I will stop. So it it comes back to what is best for the client. If they're ready for it, then fine, we'll go. We'll go all the way through, however it's going to take, however long it's going to be. But if they're not ready for it, maybe they don't want to go through the emotion. Maybe they have not come to terms and they're in the denial. And
Mhm.
I can't force them. I will not force them.
And some people aren't ready to forgive and move past
Yeah.
it. Some
Yeah.
people want to they're still stuck in the anger or the grief, and they're just not ready to move past it. And there's nothing we could do to force somebody.
No.
Um, when I deal with grief counseling, I can only move somebody as fast as they're ready to move. There's nothing I can do to move them along quicker. There's things I could do to help them to progress and get ready, but they have to do the work and they have to be prepared for what's coming. So
Yep.
when we're talking about parallel lives, I just it just hit me about um, one of my parallel lives that I experienced, and I detailed it in my book, and it was my near death experience when I was in a car accident, and I uh, I expired, and I got to meet my spirit guide, and we were sitting in a park on a bench, and we were talking, and she gave me the choice to come back or to stay on the other side. And I wanted to stay on the other side because it was so beautiful. But she said, before you make that choice, you have to watch the movie. And all of a sudden, in midair, a movie showed of what the existence of this life would be without me in it, and how it would affect my brother, my sister, my mother, and everybody that's connected to me, how it would cancel out my children, how it would alter all these other realities by me choosing to stay there. And that changed my decision, and I decided to come back because I all those things were important to me. So
Mm.
that's a form of quantum leaping to the future to see
Hmm.
what this choice is going to make, and how is it going to alter our life.
Hmm.
So, what is the process of really embodying the healed self rather just, imagining it?
Embodying the healed self is when you do that leap into an altered state
Mhm.
of you double ganger. And that double ganger, like I said, that what I brought up is the chronic headaches. So that double ganger, that altered self of me is not experiencing that all at all. I I connect with the energy of it. I connect with the energy. I observe, and I'm at to the point where I do talk to my double ganger. They recognize me. I recognize them. And I ask for permission because they're having a separate life. They're having a separate lesson, separate experience. I don't want to interfere with them too. I have to respect that too. So I am a hands-on person. I will be sitting down and I will have a conversation. What did you do? How did you I'm experiencing the chronic headaches. You're not experiencing it. What did you do? So that's how I approach this. I have done it before. I have actually a sacred place where there's a bench, and I go there and I have conversations with my alternate self.
Now,
But
the
sometimes
question
I also observe it.
Now, the question I would have for, like, say, that physical type of ailment versus emotional trauma, mental trauma, physical. What if just in this lifeline you are genetically predisposed? Are you then rewriting your DNA? Because just because you go and visit a version of yourself that is not experiencing the headaches, maybe they are genetically different than you, and that's why they don't have it. So how would you then bring that back if it is a literal genetic wiring of the human body, not just, I've learned to control my anxiety better. I have learned to eat better. I've balanced electrolytes. Like, how does that play in to where you would almost have to literally rewrite your DNA for that type of healing?
The DNA, how I was taught with energy, everything starts with energy before it goes into the body. So as I'm having a conversation with my alter self, I'm actually looking into the energy. I know a lot of people who are not trained for energy work. That's a little bit trickier. Um, to alter. When you alter your energy field, when you alter the energy, you alter the material. And just like hypnosis, I don't know if this is how you feel, Larry, but just like hypnosis, when you alter, if you tweak one little thing in the subconscious, the body will follow.
Mhm. It's the domino effect, and
Yeah.
it's just by altering one thought strain, everything else that's connected to that strain changes. It has to. It can't. When you alter anything, the outcome has to be different.
Mm.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't. I mean, in on any level, you can't take something and alter what it is and end up with the exact same thing you started. It has to change either for the better or for the worse. Um, so I can't speak to the energy work because that's not one of my strong fortes. But that's where Maria comes into that.
Now, so clearly the shift of no longer having, headaches, right, would be an evidence of having that successful shift in healing. But are there other like takeaways that would be obvious? Like, okay, this shift was successful and here is the change, without maybe having to wait weeks, months, years to know that you had a successful leap and that you have that shift brought back.
What do you think, Maria?
when Well, just like any, I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing when an energy worker works on. Well, I can't speak for other type of energy work, but pranic healing, I go and remove anything that doesn't serve you. So I altered something, so that shift is going to happen. I
Mhm.
altered it. I took it out. I removed it. So it is going to happen. And also it goes according to the person's belief. That also it plays a role in it. you know I can have a skeptic come in, show me what you can do. Now I that shift is going to happen. It might happen a little bit longer. It might have, like, one person who's really like, okay, I want to do this, I believe in this, da da da. That shift will happen quicker than the person who's skeptic, but the shift is going to happen.
Yeah, and I can, uh, piggybacking on that, I had a client that had severe back pain from a car accident, and not wanting to alter the pain, we started talking about the accident. I'm a big proponent of owning your trauma, even if it's 1% or half a percent. I don't believe that you could fix a problem unless you own something. You made a decision. You have to own an element of it, because if you don't own it, the power lives with someone else. But if you could find one little morsel that you can own, just making the decision to be somewhere. In her case, making the decision to drive that night when she wasn't supposed to be out and ended up in a car accident. When I was able to get her to take that and forgive herself for making that decision, she started feeling better emotionally. But then about a month later, she told me that her back pain started diminishing. And so
Mhm.
I kind of attribute that a little bit to, I'm not saying I healed the back pain, but I feel that there's a lot of times our pain is connected to situations, thoughts, realities, and we have to own those or own a portion of it so we can change it. You can't change that which you don't acknowledge. You can't change that which you don't own.
Mhm.
If you're going to be a victim and blame everyone else or someone else for where you are, you're never going to get out of that rut. You've got to own something.
Yeah, I truly believe in that also. It makes a lot of sense, because we are creative beings. We are more powerful than anything in this world,
Well,
and
I
we
think
also create.
I think part of like Larry, your client, now mind you, I'm not a medical professional. I
Right.
just deep dive into a lot of physical stuff because of my own, you
Yeah.
know, and understanding and learning how stress causes inflammation, which will lead to pain in the body. That her kind of understanding in like taking that, I bet took a big burden and stress off of her to where then the body starts relaxing, and maybe that's part of, and I'm not diagnosing anything, but I mean it makes sense, to finally go there, accept it and go, oh, okay, and not have that hanging over her head anymore, and worrying about it and why and what if and I shoulda, woulda, coulda, and why didn't I, and just to remove that off the table. I'm sure it had a profound reasoning, and then that stress is gone, the inflammation's going down.
Yeah.
There is so much stuff that's tied into the mental and the physical.
Mhm.
And then I'm also kind of thinking back to my previous question about like we are written this way sometimes, and can you really change it? Because I know like our shaman teacher, he's like sometimes there are just things in life that is the lesson to learn.
Yep.
And part of that lesson is learning how to deal with it to help elevate you. So, maybe you will never get rid of your psoriasis this time around, but how do you learn to live with it? And how do you accept? And how do you, continue now walk with grace of what you are learning in dealing with that physical ailment this time around? So that's why I'm like, hey, Maria, about these headaches. And if you can't literally this time around, rewrite that DNA out, like, then what?
Yeah.
Right. Tarot for Oracle for, so yeah, attention is definitely key.
Mhm.
Now I think Larry, you touched on it briefly. Some dangers and pitfalls. And I know earlier you were like, yeah, you just don't willy-nilly go jumping and
Right.
land. Are there other, things to be on the lookout or to be cautious of for somebody new kind of wanting to jump into quantum leaping in their spiritual practice and work?
Well, I think not just quantum leaping, but anything that we do, whether it be spiritual, metaphysically, or in the physical realm, anything we do, we need to start off and take baby steps. If we just, if you go off on a tennis court and you do no stretching, no game prep, and you just start running around and hitting a ball, you're probably gonna pull a muscle or get extremely sore. Okay, it's baby steps. It's learning to walk before you can run. And it's too many times I see people just want to jump into the spiritual world and just jump right into whether it be energy healing or readings, and they have no idea what they're opening up themselves for. And I was working with a lady that was like, she's like, oh my God, she's like, I can't sleep at night. I said, I told you not to do this. You weren't ready for this. Because when you open a door to something, it's very difficult to close that door back. And sometimes it's impossible. Once we open that door, our reality gets changed and we can't close that door and we have to deal with it. That's why I say it's best to do the latter effect and take it really slow. This life is meant to learn. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so whatever we do, whether it be on the quantum level or the physical, we need to really respect it and learn it. And I believe that if you learn something from the ground up, you're going to be more educated and you're going to use the tool at its utmost, um, for the utmost results, rather than just jumping in and grabbing a hammer and starting to swing.
Well, and this is a very good question here from Tarot and Oracle for the Soul. It says, I want to jump timelines, but I'm scared to. What if I end up somewhere worse?
Well, exactly, and that's why we say When you start to quantum jump, you've got to know where you want to go. You have to talk to you have to have an idea what you want, where you want to go, or what you're trying to gain, what type of information you're trying to gain. Your oversoul will help you and guide you to that quantum level and alter your frequency to get there. If you just haphazardly say, you know what, I just want to jump, good luck. You don't know where you're going to land. And there was a movie about that, I think, or a TV series, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There
So
was.
so I think it's got to be slow. I think, you know, if you want to get into quantum leaping, you just got to really take it slow and do the research, get comfortable with meditation, get comfortable of coming out of meditation, get comfortable with all the aspects of meditation, distractions and how to deal with distractions. And from there, you can start having that conversation with your oversoul. But your oversoul is not going to let you go somewhere you don't want to, that you absolutely shouldn't go to, but it absolutely will put you in a place that's going to teach you a lesson if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. You know, it's just like your parents saying, "Don't touch the stove; it's hot." And what do? You know, you go to your oversoul and you say, "I want to do this." Your oversoul is going to say, "Hey, it's okay. You'll learn your lesson." So it's about knowing and respecting.
Now, what about you, Maria? Do you have any warnings for quantum jumping?
I do agree with Larry, what he said, but I want to piggyback on the fact of meditation. A lot of people don't know how to meditate, and a lot of people don't realize what meditation is. It is not just sitting down and doing om. That's not what it is. Meditation is actually at a moment where your mind, this monkey talk, is not talking. So a person can be meditating while they're painting because that's what they like to do, is their passion. They're not thinking about anything. Nothing is coming in. Not, oh, I have to pick up my dry cleaning, or I have to go and get some milk. That is, it's just completely one. um Meditation is also taking a walk and paying attention what's in front of you, and not having having the earbuds with the music going on. It's just completely absorbing what nature has and what's in front of you, but also being aware of what's all around you. So having a clear practice of meditation, it could be walking the dog, you and the dog. It could be just sitting quietly listening to your breath. Having a clear cut practice of meditation is the key to that. Quantum jumping, you're going to go into your inner world. You're going to go with your altered souls. And even though I call it the higher soul, Larry, you call it the oversoul, I call it the higher soul.
Yeah.
The higher soul is still going to be in charge. And yes, they won't stop you, but you definitely will learn a lesson.
Yeah. And you talked about the walking and in the quantum world there's something called superposition, which says that every particle is moving in every direction and is creating every possibility at the exact same time, and at no point is there a definite outcome until that particle becomes observed. When that particle becomes observed, that's when reality shifts in. And why is that important? Because when we take a walk, we need to understand that there is so much going on. There is so much superpositioning happening around us, but we're just focused on the path and where we're heading to. And we're walking past so much beauty, so much important information that we could be learning. When you meditate, you're in a position where you're able to take all that information in. and absorb it and learn from it. And one of my favorite meditations happens to be with my dog. Um, and that's not really long, but if you're a pet lover, um, sit with your animal and create an eye contact. And it'll take a little while for it took a little while for the dog to really respond, but she and I could sit and stare at each other for sometimes 10 minutes, and there's just this bond, and it's like I'm out of my body and just feeling everything going on around me. And to me, that's a great way of meditating with an animal.
Mhm.
Now, it's fun because we've kind of answered this question a little bit in a previous episode, because this is kind of like part two of the quantum leaping. And we did have Dana Chasen on with us 2-3 weeks ago about the Akashic Records. And fun fact, she's going to be on with us next Tuesday evening for another round of the Akashic Records. But when we asked her about quantum leaping in the Akashic, if I remember correctly, Maria, correct me if I'm wrong, she was kind of saying like leaping is in a way like opening up the quantum records of what is most relevant for what you're going on now. So they're similar yet different.
Mhm.
But we will have Dana with us next Tuesday at 7 to do more on the Akashic Records, and she can explain those more in depth than I can. But it's kind of fun how they're similar yet different, somewhat connected, but yet completely different experiences.
Yeah.
And I think for some of us who are more visual, like me, it's easier for me to like meditate and put myself into a giant library and say, I need to know about, and like imagine the walls of books like shifting until the one that I need comes out, presents itself, rather than trying to sit and meditate and project myself off somewhere. So
Mhm.
it kind of, for each person might be different depending what is easier for you. Now, Maria, I know you mentioned in the last time we talked on quantum leaping, there was a book by a certain gentleman that you were highly recommending.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Bert Goldman. We lost him in 2020. I guess he was part of the COVID casualty, but he has a book. It's still available. I know I have it on my Kindle, and I refer to it. He explained it in a very simple form. This gentleman has also been trained with the Silva technique as far as meditation, which I was also trained with that. So, but it's a really good book. It gives you an idea, and then the one thing I always tell people with meditation, a lot of people like, they look at it as a chore. It's not a chore. I always tell people have fun with it. Approach it like you're a child going to a playground. You're going on a swing, and you're just gonna play with this. It's gonna take a while for you to find out what type of meditation that you enjoy. Um, but for me, I like to listen to nature, and I know in the winter months it's hard. Um, I don't want to be out there in the cold with a jacket, but the information that I collect when it's nice, when I meditate, that's my point of reference. I put myself back into the park. I put myself back listening to the water. I have that point of reference. And in the beginning, it might be a little bit tricky and it might be a little bit hard, but just play with it. Approach it like it's a new toy that you're going to play with. It's not a chore.
So the book title is Quantum Leaping by Bert Goldman. You can
Quantum
find
jumping.
yes, quantum jumping. Actually, let me go double. Yes, it is quantum jumping. Because I keep using jumping and leaping interchangeably and should not. Quantum Jumping by Bert Goldman. And there are quite a few videos out there all over YouTube and other places that should be accessible for everybody to go watch. Um, Larry, did you have any resources for to share with our friends here to get going?
I watch a lot of videos on YouTube. There's a plethora of different people on YouTube talking about many different avenues or aspects of the quantum theory and quantum jumping. And there are some that I enjoy listening to. They speak in a very clear manner that I can understand. There's others that become really deep and it's hard to follow. So that's kind of my go-to is when I'm researching something like this, I'll go on YouTube and watch, the videos.
Sorry, I'm putting in a correction into chat with the correct title.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go. Now, I think we kind of got through all of our fun major talking points. If there was something either one of you wanted to touch on that maybe we haven't already before we do our final wrap ups and bits of wisdom, and don't do this, but definitely do that.
Well, I would just say, if people know nothing else, just know that everything is energy. We're energy. Our thoughts are energy. The chair you're sitting on is energy. It's particles, it's atoms and electrons bound together to form a solid object. Everything at its simplest core is energy. And energy can be manipulated, it can be used in any way we choose. And if you're not happy with what's going on in your life, the easiest way of altering that is changing your thought, which then shifts your energy and brings you to a different frequency. And that in itself is one of the essences to learn how to jump, is altering your frequency, altering your wavelength. And it's really as simple as altering your thoughts and changing your reality.
What about you, Maria?
um, Larry pretty much bring it up to focus. It is changing your thoughts. Also, I just want to put a little danger warning. Sometimes when a person learns how to do this and they get very excited about it, they said, "Oh, I can get rid of 10 things." Don't. Like Larry said, do it slow. I agree with him. Do it slow. Just say, "Oh, I did it once, so I can get rid of all 10 things that I don't like in my life." No, don't do that. There is an ethics thing that you have to follow also, not just for yourself. Sometimes people want to, "Oh, I can do this for so and so, my loved one, my family member." Not necessarily. That doesn't happen that way. Everybody has their own lessons they wanted to learn in this life. So everyone goes in a different pace. And it's not up to you to say, "I'm going to do this," unless if they're not ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you mean I shouldn't rip the Band-Aid off and do it all at once? Jumpstart the whole process. What?
It took
Yeah, go
it
for
took a while. It took a while. You can go ahead and do it, but it took a while to get there. So it's going to take a while to undo.
Yeah.
Let's rip the Band-Aid off slowly.
Oh, fine. Guess we'll do 2 or 3 instead of 10. But just slow my plan down, why don't you? Oh my goodness. So yeah, quantum jumping and leaping. It's a really thought-provoking thing. And given everything that's been happening like currently right now, and just wondering, I'm like, have I been ping-ponged and shoved into some other ones with everything going on and learning and coping? And I'm like, really? Really? You couldn't have just wrote it on a wall in a dry erase marker. You had to shove me over here to go experience that. That's fun. Sarcastic to my own self. How fun is that?
Yeah. Sometimes we have to experience the moment to learn the lesson.
Yeah.
You know, we can't. You'll never learn to ride a bike unless you've learned how to fall and get up and get back on it.
Very true. You got to learn to balance, right? And how do you learn to balance? How not to balance first.
Yeah.
And why
Exactly.
why balancing is important.
Yep.
If any of our friends in chat have any questions, now's the time to ask. We'll be wrapping up here soon. Larry, in the meantime, you are available with Goddess Elite, so people can come walk in person, come ask you questions. What is it? The second and fourth Sundays of the month.
Correct.
Or if they would like to have a private session with you, same times and same days. And you're also a certified hypnotherapist.
Yes. I also do the Zoom calls or the Zoom readings that can be scheduled through Goddess Elite.
Yeah. So actually, Larry's a little more available than just those 2 Sundays. And good reminder. They can get sessions with you through the week in the evenings after you are done doing your Clark Kent job of pretending to be a normal, law-abiding citizen. You step into your woo-woo job, after hours to help people who may need it. Maria, you are with us in person the second and third Saturdays of the month. And sometimes when you're bored, you'll pop in and just visit and hang out. And it's hilarious how when that happens, there's always somebody looking for you who desperately needs you. And I'm like, well, that's why you were bored today. That's why you need you did not come to have fun with us. No.
No, so someone put the order in and I had to be there.
Don't you love when that happens though?
Yeah.
I mean, this past Sunday, I normally get there right before 1:00, 10 minutes till it gets set up, and I start reading at 1. This Sunday, I just had a clear message. I needed to be there much earlier. So I showed up at 12:15, and there was a woman there that was waiting, and she's like, I need to see you. And I started reading early, and it's like, I just got the message to be there, and I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. Which is a lesson in trust, and that should be for everyone. When we get a message from Spirit, we really need to trust and listen.
Yeah.
Now, Larry's readings, they are 15 minutes, 30 for every 15. Larry, refresh my memory what your hypnotherapy sessions are.
It's $100, and it's for it's a 2-hour session.
There you go. And Maria, you're pretty similar. You are same reading price and your hypnotherapy sessions, right? So we try to make it even for everybody. No one person's better than the other. Everybody gets vetted in order to work through Goddess Elite. Usually you're going to go through me. Or if it's somebody that I've known too well, you've come into the store for years, we've joked, we laughed. I won't say we cried because I don't cry in public. That's just silly. I may have you do your interview read if you're a reader trying to come in, with somebody else. And then while you're still standing in the building and they come out of the room and I'm like, so how was it? Did they hit? Were they missing? Were they trying too hard? So everybody's vetted in order to work through the store. So no fears. We kind of put them through the route. I often hear very intimidating, I guess, to do the interview reads for the store. I don't know why, but it is.
It's very important, though.
Yes.
It's very important because it's not just, I'm just not reading for myself. It's the integrity of the store and the business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the whole point is to help the client and, not going to tolerate somebody that's just making up stuff, trying to make it fit. That's completely a disservice to the client. And we're not going to tolerate that. We're going to weed it out. That's why you will do an interview read before you are associated with the store in any way, shape, or form. even the energy healers. You will
Yeah.
do a session on somebody through the store
Yeah.
before you're allowed
Yeah.
to do any sort of work.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that also, I mean, you have a client that's going to go, you want them to say, hey, I had this wonderful healing from this person at Goddess Elite. So it also reflects back to the business, reflect back to it, all of us, actually. It comes down to all of us, all the practitioners there. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want a situation of guilty by association,
Yep.
We don't want to have one person in there causing ruckus and then everybody else is getting that unfortunate bad reputation. So that's why we weed everybody out, that needs to be. By no means, if there's somebody who doesn't make the cut, are we mean about it? It'll just be like, you know what, maybe not right now, or I need you to get more connected with your cards. Do not pull out the information booklet here at your interview read to give me and if they're new and they're nervous, like, I completely respect that. And again, we're not mean about it. We'll tell you what was, not hitting and how and why, and, that way. But yeah, everybody's vetted to be at the store.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
A lot of energy healers, there is a way that you can tell. Well, first of all, a lot of energy, I don't know about all of them, but I know the ones that I have gone to. We had to go out there as soon as the classes that we were done with, and we had to go and do at least 25 healing. And one of them created a clinic so you can practice, what you have learned. And the clinic is, first come, first serve, and it was completely donation only. So that was a way for the energy healer, in that particular modality, to go and learn. And you had to set, like, I'm going to do 25 healings. I'm going to do, and they know that a lot of the healers in that clinic was healers who went through the classes. So, and you can tell, I can scan somebody and I know, oh, you haven't done your 25 at least.
Yeah. I mean, even fellowships at one point, I don't know if they still are, because a lot of things have changed since COVID. For those that don't know, fellowships is right outside Lilydale. They're associated but technically separate. So any of their students doing the training for their psychic work, it was like 75 or 100 readings they had to do for free. They had a sheet that the client had to fill out, and they had to turn those sheets in, and there was contact info, and you should expect that somebody from fellowships was calling these people, verifying these readings. And we would host days for those students in store to come in, and we would make it known, these are students of fellowship. They are practicing, they're getting, their basics down. It is, for free or for donation, but understand these are students, and we need you to fill out these forms for them. So we do help in that manner too. But yeah, we take it seriously. The whole point is the betterment and the helpfulness and healing for the clients that come in through our doors. Well, we don't have any other questions on quantum jumping. I think everybody's hamster wheels are spinning and processing that information that they learned tonight. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of quantum jumping videos watched in the next couple of days or so for people, and some books read and ordered. But thank you, Larry, for joining us for this.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a fun topic, and all the possibilities, and how many other universes did we just create talking about this openly again? So,
Yeah.
But well, thanks for joining us, guys. We hope you can join us again Tuesday evenings live at 7:00 for all sorts of fun topics under this woo-woo umbrella of energy work and healing and all the things in between. But we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.